Welcome to the Big H podcast. My name is Mike Heiss, and my special guest tonight is longtime coach, teacher, friend, mentor, Ory Mee. And I'm going to title this podcast One on One with Ory. And it's probably the only time I'm ever going to refer to you as Ory because you're known to me as many other titles.
Okay, thanks. Thanks for having me on tonight.
Can you?
Appreciate that. So,
Well, very good. Did you hear the clapping for you?
no.
Okay. Well, I got a studio audience here, so it'll come
Okay.
out on the podcast. All
All
right.
right.
Well, listen, like I said, I'm Mike Heiss, and I'm here with Coach Me. And I usually like to start these podcasts with getting a little biographical information about you so our viewers and listeners can kind of find out a little bit more about where you're coming from. So, with that said, um, where was your birthplace, your parents, and siblings of that nature?
Okay. I was born in Jamestown, New York, uh, and grew up in Faulkner. Mom and dad were Warren and Betty Mee. Um, there were six of us as kids, like your family, fairly large. And I had a sister Greta, a brother Terry, sister Phoebe, uh, and brother Larry and a brother Alan. So, we grew up on a dairy farm, so there was always lots of work to do. And so, 4:45 came kind of early when you got up and went to the barn to help with chores. And so that was always a little bit of a challenge, you didn't mind it. In the summertime, you always had some work to do, whether it be baling hay or chopping or whatever the case might be. So, on a dairy farm, there's always things to do, and you didn't want to ask very often, what can I do or what's going on, because they always could find something for you.
So you said Jamestown. What type of area was that in Faulkner? Right? Was Faulkner the high school?
Yeah, Faulkner's a village right next to high school. It's like Ruth and Rochester. They're right next, Faulkner's right next to Jamestown. So if you go to a traffic light, you're in Faulkner. You go across the traffic light, you're in Jamestown. But we lived outside, even a smaller community, I say Levant or Kennedy, a really rural area. Basically, a dairy farm had, I don't know, 350 acres on it. So, in actually, it was kind of cool because we lived on Mee Road. So, the dairy farm and my brothers, they still live on Mee Road.
And you said six siblings you had?
Yep.
Or six kids, I'm sorry. Yeah.
Kid, siblings, yep. So,
And what was it? I know what it's like growing up in a big family. Well, what was it like growing up with your big family? I know you worked on farming and all that, but what else?
um, well, I'm trying to think of how to put it, it was challenging, but a lot of fun when you ate meals,
Exactly.
because you had a tendency to reach across the table and grab what you wanted rather than always, saying, please pass. And you'd have five people talking at the same time. And,
Uh-huh.
mom and dad were really great, with working with all this, just like your parents, were just super with your family.
Hmm.
Oh,
Yeah, I would
yeah,
definitely say we're a product of our parents, and we turned out okay.
yeah.
Um, if you think of those early childhood memories, do you have any, maybe one or two that come to mind that
Hmm.
influenced you in your early childhood?
Uh, right. I'm trying to remember something
It
specific.
could be
Um,
an athletic situation, maybe.
well, I mean, like I said, mom and dad did a lot for us. Dad was working, so mom did a lot of sports with us, just kind of like your mom, was taking you all the time to get you to this spot or to that spot. And without my mom doing it, okay. I remember on Sundays we used to go to church. We had an old, well, we go to Sunday school. we had an old Willys Jeep, and she had my dad get it so we could get to church or Sunday school every Sunday, and it wasn't going to get stuck because it had 4-wheel drive, and all 6 of us kids piled in, and we'd get to the church or the Sunday school every weekend. So,
Well, that is it's a great memory. And I also think I think going to church is just such a great way to learn discipline and just learn everything. And I'm glad you had that type of memory came through.
yeah.
If you think of that early education, like kindergarten through 6, do you remember like the type of school you went to, or maybe a couple teachers?
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. Kindergarten, we went to kindergarten in the basement of the church. I think it's a Wesleyan Methodist church. In first grade, I went to Levant School, and it was a 2-room schoolhouse. So on the east side, which I was in, you had first, second, and third grade. And then on the west side, the other side, you go in the front door and you go to the left to go to the room I was in. On the right-hand side, you had fourth, fifth, and sixth grade. So it was a little bit, different than what you look at for kids today. Second grade, we went to the basement in the church again for the first half of the year. And then they opened a new elementary school. So we were the first ones to go into the new school in second grade for the second half of the year. So we had a new elementary building. It was built in what was it? I have to go back and think, 1956, 1957, somewhere in there. So that's when actually it's when I started going to school with Pat. She was in the other class in second grade, so I wasn't with her there, but we were in the same building. So, yeah, that made it a whole lot nicer than being in the basement of the church, being in a brand new school. So, you want a funny thing, though? We used to all go to the cafeteria to have lunch. You did not talk. It was a silent lunch.
No kidding. No kidding.
5 or 6 classrooms, because the cafeteria also was part of the gym. So it was a quiet lunch. If you spoke, you were in trouble. So, a little different.
Oh boy, the lunchrooms of today.
Oh, yeah.
Compare to that.
But yeah, it was, some of those things, you look at, and, we spent some time at the barn. I was going to mention that my dad put up baskets at both ends so we could play basketball in the barn. And, when we were in elementary school, and, he had a basket at one end, and then we kept pestering him, and he put a basket up the other end. So then my brother and I, he was a year and a half older than I was, Terry was, so we could play full court.
Nice. Nice.
So, not that it was the same distance as a basketball court, but it might have been, 50, 60 feet, something like that. So, yeah.
That's barn ball, right? That's what they call it.
Barn, you name it. That's what we used to call it, barn ball.
Yeah. Yeah. So you and Pat have known each other since what, first or second grade then?
Yeah, second grade we started going to school.
Wow, what a beginning and lengthy relationship. That's awesome. That is awesome.
Yeah.
Now, was middle and high school in a different location?
Yeah, there was 6 through 12 in high school, or 7 through 12, my bad. It's like kind of going back to a little bit of the elementary school. With us, with you, you made Palmer Rec. With us, you had Little League was 9 through 12, so my mom was always running us around to get to there. Then my dad would get us in some basketball tournaments at the boys club. So we play a couple of those, when we're, still in sixth grade. So a little introduction to that stuff. And So yeah, that was fun. Now, then switched to another building to go to the high school, and you played. What was it? You had grades 7, 8, and 9 was a junior high basketball team, then the JV team, then the varsity. We played midget football, at that area, Pop Warner here, so it was kind of cool. We went through a couple pretty good friends there. Made the championship game when our last year there when we were 12, and we played in Jamestown. Well, back then it's Diedrich Park, and we played there in the championship game. And there was about 6 inches of snow on the ground, so I thought it was going to be really cool until you got your hands in. Now you're trying to put gloves, and it was kind of fun because at that time I played quarterback, and my best friend was a running back. So we won. That was the best part.
Hey,
Yeah.
that's awesome. Now, did you have a favorite sport? It was a basketball, baseball, football, or you just loved them all?
Well, whatever sport season it was, that was what I liked the most.
Hmm. I agree. Perfect answer. Now, besides school and athletics, did you have any early, when you weren't on the farm or playing a sport, any early interests or hobbies?
Oh, my brother and I enjoyed fishing, doing some hunting, etc. We had a farm pond. It was a couple acres large, and we had a little cabin down there, so that we didn't like the early part of Saturdays because my parents got us 2 hand-push lawnmowers, and so in the morning we would mow our lawn, which took about, I don't know, 2 hours to mow it with Terry and I mowing, and then we'd go mow my grandmother's lawn, and then we could catch lunch, and then we pushed the lawnmowers, I don't know, 3/4 of a mile down to the pond, and then we'd mow the pond, but we got to go fishing afterwards. So that was kind of fun part.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, and in those years, we did quite a bit of 4-H. One of the projects we did, we raised pheasants. Back then, you could get 35 pheasants for everyone. When the DEC came back to pick them up to go release them, you got $1 for every pheasant you released. So, and then you make up a booklet through 4-H and show them what your prices were, how much feed you bought, how much it took for lighting, if you had to buy trays for feed or water bottles and all that stuff. So it was a good learning experience through 4-H. Back then, had several other projects we did. We showed dairy cows, which was a little different. Went to the Chautauqua County Fair, the Hamburg Fair. We had jerseys for our type rather than Holsteins that we showed. So yeah, it was a challenge because you're trying to get a cow to behave the way you wanted it to. Trying to move it around the ring and make it stop, stand still, make it pose. So that was pretty. Yeah.
Well, and then I guess, I guess you won your championship in football. Was that?
Yeah, it was midget football. Way back when. The little guys. Then in high school, as a 7th grader, I made the junior high team. Same in 8th grade. 9th grade on the JV team, and then sophomore, junior, and senior on the varsity team for basketball. Baseball is on the varsity team as a freshman, sophomore, junior, senior. And football is on a JV team as a freshman, sophomore, junior, seniors played in the varsity. So, a couple coaches there that really, stuck in my mind. My basketball coach named Bill Jowett. And actually this summer, forgot that. I also did track. You could do all 4 sports when I was still there. So, yeah, we did football, basketball, baseball, and track were in the spring. So it was like, all right. Um, my high school basketball coach was Bill Jowett. Uh, did a great job with us. Brought me up as a sophomore. I think we were like 4-14, but we won all league games. So that means we made the sectionals because you had to make the sectionals. And then we beat a team 33-31. Actually, that was a playoff game to get into the sectionals. And then we beat a team that was 17-1, Wilson, along the lake. I think it was 38-40, something like that. So then we lost our next game, but we lost it to Fredonia. So that was kind of cool. My sophomore year and my junior year, we were a little better. And my senior year, I think we were 14-4.
Mm-hmm.
Ended up 15-5. We lost in the semifinals. A guy made a foul shot with 3 seconds to go. We lost by 1. Football, I think we were 7-1 as a football team, and baseball, we lost in a sectional final. But yeah, you're competitive, and that was a big thing. Our football coach's name was Bill Race, and he did a great job. So it was like, it's understanding each guy, and every coach is a little bit different. Bill was a guy. Coach Race was a guy that always was on you, and Coach Jowett was a guy that would push you gently, but know how to do it. So there were like 2 different, entities a little bit. And then track, you were kind of on your own. I ran the 180 hurdles and high jumped. So that was kind of a little bit different. And let's see, baseball, we had our English teacher was our baseball coach. So,
Okay.
and he coached through my junior year, and then he stepped down, and we had one of the football coaches took over for baseball my senior year, so it was a little bit different, setup.
I'm sure.
But, yeah, it was a great time, and I enjoyed athletics probably a little bit more than I enjoyed school.
Well, in preparing for this podcast, I did reach out to a couple of your ex-players, and one of the players immediately came back with a comment, and I know this player really well. And he said, my sophomore year, I missed the front end of a 1-and-1 with 1 second left, and we lose 57-56 to Olympia. Flash forward, the third game of my senior year, I get fouled with 5 seconds left on a 3-pointer, and we're down 3 to Mendon. I get fouled right in front of our bench, and I literally land at Ory's feet. He extends his hand. We lock eyes. He says, you got another chance. He knew exactly what I was thinking in that moment. I was a different person by my senior year because of the confidence and trust Coach Mee had in me. I knocked down all 3 foul shots. We beat Mendon in overtime. We set a school record for wins that season. Coach Mee taught me the importance of efficiency and consistency. Practice with a purpose, and you'll play with a purpose. I think I've led my life in a similar fashion as a result. Coach always knew what we needed to get done and why we needed to get it done. I think I teach and coach that way, having spent so much time around Ory as a young man. Many, many Hilton athletes can stay the same. Having the title of coach, or having young people refer to you as coach, is a great honor and privilege. To be honest, it's really only surpassed by the title of father in my life. Although coach could be tough on me, I always knew he was fair, and I never once doubted how much he cared about me as a person. I love him for that. Dave Heiss. Coach, you've affected a lot of other athletes, and I've got other stories from that, including my own. But let's switch back to you. But keep that stick that thought in.
Okay.
College education. Where did you end up going to college, and why did you decide on that location?
Well, I graduated from high school in '67, and I did not go to college my first year. I worked on a dairy farm my first year and decided to go back to college the next year. But in the meantime, Pat and I got married in the summer before I started college in 1968. So she was going to Fredonia and had 1 year under her belt, because she went to school right after high school. And I decided, with our situation, being married and trying to get two people through college, I went to Jamestown Community College. And at that time, the town of Poland helped pay for my tuition. So that was a big help. So I didn't have to pay too much. And we got an apartment in my grandmother's house upstairs. So I was working 30 to 40 hours on the farm each week. And I played baseball and basketball both years when I was at Jamestown. So there was not a lot of free time. It was enjoyable, but if you wanted to be busy, you definitely were busy. So that was good. And then we got through our first year, our second year. Again, we got to the basketball season, and we were expecting. So Pat would come to the basketball games and sit in the bleachers, and I was expecting with Corey at the time. So, and she did a great job. I had a basketball game in Buffalo one night. We had Corey on the next night, and I had a game in DuBois, Pennsylvania the next night. So the timing was well. And my mom used to tell me that, when you were born, your dad was playing a basketball game at the YMCA. You got introduced as the new baby for the family with a special name at a basketball game. So it was kind of cool that, it's something like that originally happened. But yeah, so we finished JCC and had a good career. Got my associate's degree. Pat had 2.5 years in, and we transferred to Brockport. And we finished there. We got to Brockport and made the decision to major in physical education. Up to then, the year that I started, you could do a dual major, physical education and health, but the year I started, you had to pick one or the other. So physical education was what I picked. And, my freshman year, I played baseball. And my freshman year, my junior year, I played baseball. My senior year, I had a student teach. So that cost me playing baseball. To graduate on time, I had to do that. And, I wasn't working at that point, so yeah, it's still doing, a couple of people with college and having a young one. So it was there. And in my senior year, I became a diver on the swim team. So I didn't do baseball, but did something else instead. So that was kind of cool. So, but yeah, I had a couple teachers there were pretty inspirational for me. Dr. Fulton was the swimming pool's named after him, but he kind of took a liking or took me under my wing, etc. And so that was really special to have. So yeah, it was good, and to say the least. So yeah, we got through college, and it was kind of fun because we both walked across the stage at the same time and had our names read back to back, and had our parents there and Corey there, etc.
That's great. That is really great. Um, what about some early jobs that you had? I mean, after you graduated from college, where did you end up teaching for the first job?
Well, when I was at Brockport in the summers, I got a job at with Ted Burnett at the nursery, and we did a lot of landscaping jobs. I mean, we did the seating job at Pittsford, Mendon, Northside Dudley School, things like that. Or planted 100 trees, at one of the locations we did, etc. Um, but the first year I stayed with him, I didn't get a job. The first year out of college, summer of '72, fall of '72, I didn't get a job. I got a job the next year in the fall of '73 at Hilton and spent my whole career there. A gentleman named Jack Turan resigned like a week and a half before school started, and I happened to hear about it, go in, apply, get interviewed, get the job. And so for the next 32 years, I was at Hilton.
So what grade was that? The middle school you said, Coach?
Yep, at the middle school, seventh and eighth grade. Um, it changed a couple times from seventh and eighth to sixth, seventh, and eighth, and then back to seventh and eighth. So yeah, it was a great place to be. I mean, sometimes you think of that age being a little squirrely, but every day I thought the kids came enthusiastic, ready to do things, and so sometimes I used to say I can't count past threes. I want you to come in and today get as much activity as we can get out of you during our phys ed class. I want you to learn a little bit of something, and I want you to have fun. If we can get all three of those, we had a super day. If we get two, we had a good day. So,
Mm-hmm.
it was kind of it, and it was cool having a pool there because that was something different you didn't have in any other of the schools, and gave us a little bit of you know something special. So anyway, that
Well,
was
I, I what I can say as a student of yours, that was one of my roles I had is when you taught me PE. We went from football, we went to wrestling, and then you taught us gymnastics and everything. And some of those sports you didn't want to do, but you did make them fun. And you're exactly right. We did learn from them. So.
well, it's trying to be able to and the same with coaching, and the same with being having physical education classes. To me, how can I try to make each student and each player a better person and a positive person in society and a better student, a student who wants to learn? I mean, I was amazed at Pat with her teaching. She had one class, I don't know, maybe 28 kids in a class. And by their senior year, 24 of them were in the National Honor Society. I mean, I thought
Hmm.
that was amazing that she could get kids at that young age enthused and be able to, want to learn. And, for me, like I say, try to make it a little fun, learn something. And like you said, everybody doesn't like everything, and you have to understand that. So how can you try to help make them fun? So,
uh, Kudos to Pat, and she's a former teacher of the year for Hilton, and my wife also used to observe in her class and credits Pat for being a tremendous role model as she entered the teaching field. Um, I also reached out to another one of your former colleagues, Merton Williams, and this is what this person had to say. Ory was a great colleague who goes above and beyond and always is there to learn from and bounce ideas off. Supportive and special friend who has always been there for me. Always so interested in my family and what my boys are up to. He never missed wishing my husband Rich good luck on all his football games. He helped understand now being a mom puts everything else in my career in perspective. I will never forget when he asked me to coach boys modified basketball. Not sure that's ever been done in Hilton, and I was so flattered. I had such a great experience. I just love Ory and have so much admiration for him. Debbie Lapani.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, yes, you've affected not just players but employees, Coach.
Yeah. It's, I had a lot of people so special that I was able to work with, you know. Um, I go back to the first gentleman that I taught with, a guy named Joe Tolhurst. Probably not many people know unless you're older now. In the first, you know, 10 weeks, I had all these kids, and man, they were all super. And it was like, what Joe did is he took all the maybe guys that were a little challenging and he put them all in his class and gave me guys like you know, for the first 10 weeks. And the second 10 weeks is rotated. You know, now I got a little sprinkling of guys that were a little bit more challenging. But, you know, Joe taught me so much. And I found at the end of the career, I was doing a lot of things that he did, you know, when he started. Jan Milner was another great colleague that I had for a short time. And Debbie Lapani was there, and it was so special because we had a great relationship. Our expectations were, I thought, pretty high for physical education. It wasn't come in and be unprepared. It was, you know, be on time, be prepared, and participate, you know. And we worked together very well with that. Ken Burkell got there, and the same thing. You know, Jeff Murphy came in for the last couple of years I was there, and you know that really, you know, helped, and I thought make our school better because of what our expectations were. We also had lunch duty. Okay, phys ed staff always had lunch duty. So we were the staff that basically had all the students in the school. And I felt as long as we had a few rules, we followed the rules, they weren't, you know, something that was really bad, that our school ran very smoothly, at least in my opinion. You know, it wasn't really out of hand, and you know, we had a big change. I had 16 different principals when I was there in 30 years. So, you know, I thought that was helpful, and having the same expectations that we had, you know, together, I thought really helped. But, you know, Debbie.
Another person. Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, Debbie was very instrumental because I taught with her the longest of anybody there, and it was really special. And, you know, we were there and went through a change, but I never got to enjoy, you know, really the new pool and the climbing wall and the new facility. That was done as I finished and retired. And it's so glad to see that that's part of Merton Williams today. So, yeah.
Another person I would like you to reflect on, and I played baseball for him for a couple of years, and then you took over varsity, was Jeff's father, Dan Murphy. Explain what he meant to you.
Yeah, Dan was another a guy that was at Merton Williams, but he was there for a short period, and I forgot to mention him. Very welcoming guy. You know, I was at Northwood when I started, and the first year there were no baseball jobs open. The second year he hired me as a freshman coach, and then the next year I was a JV coach, and we worked together for 12 years. And became very good friends, you know, with doing things together, played some softball together, you know, that kind of thing. And, you know, it was a great relationship, and it was a lot of fun when he came to Merton Williams to teach again, you know, the same thing. He was there before Ken Burkell was there, you know, and became very good family friends, and, you know, still are. So, again, different things. I mean, another guy that did a lot for me when I started was Bud Rose. You know, it kind of took me under his wing a little bit with coaching and being in the building, being able to help and ask questions and, you know, sit down and communicate with them. So, you know, those guys like that when you start are special. And, you know, I'm at the end of my career now. I'm working with Jeff and Reggie Gehrig and, you know, some of the former students you had. Gloria Hoffer was a student, now back as a teacher, and you know those people were special too. You know.
Yeah, and then I also reached out, and this gentleman is a man of few words, but what he says is profound. Ory is someone who is willing to help anyone in need, a tireless worker, a wealth of knowledge for both players and coaches, continues to volunteer with Section 5 Baseball, Hall of Fame Committee in retirement, and genuinely cares about former players and families. And that's a player that you help volunteer, or now your head coach of your program, Kevin Wheelahan. Speak about him a little bit, please.
Oh,
A lot to
well,
say.
like yourself, very special person that to me has enjoyed going into coaching and trying to pass on a lot of the things that you enjoyed, you know, about each sport, but more about making to me those players better people. And you know, it comes out at the end of the day that they're, you know, it's like Coach Heiss, you know, and the things he wrote, and I can remember that game vividly, you know, that he's talking about. And you know, the first foul shot he made hit the back of the rim, went about 4 feet in the air, and went through. And then the next two, I think, were swish, swish, you know, and then we went on to win in overtime. But, you know, just a really special thing that happened in his career, you know, that's there. So, and it's like, you know, with Coach Murphy, Coach Wheelhand's become a very special friend, you know, and, you know, still trying to help him a little bit with baseball has been fun, and still working with Troy a little bit in basketball, trying to get in and, you know, maybe just say a couple of words that might be beneficial to a player. I'm not there to, okay, hey, this is the offense you should run or this or that, but you know, be able to tell a kid, hey, that was a good cut. Next time in this situation, maybe go there, you know, or that kind. That's not a good shot for you, but this one was, you know. So, you know, being able to go back and help. And, you know, there's a couple different things there that, like yourself as a coach, how many players are enthusiastic and are at the point where they want to go on and play at the next level, or they want to go on and become a coach because, you know, you can feel it's there. And I used to think, and very often say to a team, I hope everybody on our team, every team, gives back and becomes a coach at some point. I don't care if it's, you know, little guy soccer, football, whatever the case might be, you know, and but that again allows you to give back because I think each time you get so much. So anyway, yeah, and I mean it's special that Kevin lets me come back and kind of help out, or Troy lets me come back and attend practices, and you know it's special because, as you know, the last few women's basketball coaches all played for me, you know, or all on a coaching staff too, and so even today, you know, with Troy, he's a player for me, and Kevin was a player for me, and that kind of thing, and yourself, and I value so much you guys, you know, giving back and really being conscientious about what you do.
Thank you. And thank you. Let's switch gears a little bit more towards your family. We've heard a little bit about your relationship, how it butted with Pat and everything. Explain how, because I've seen her in action and how she has helped with you and your coaching and organization. I worked for you in the summer times. I know all the work she would do. So explain a little bit about her role in your life.
Um, well, I wouldn't be anywhere near the positions I've been in without her to do them. And
Mm-hmm.
she has always been there for me, to say the least, and always been a part of basically every program that was there. I know when I was a swimming coach there for 7 years, whatever it was, she used to make brownies and cookies and stuff and sell them in the hall. So we had a little bit of money for, you know, being able to buy some things to help the program. Not that it was a whole lot. It could be, you know, helping me do lesson plans and make them look appropriate, or could have been helping me because she's an English major, saying, "Here's the paper I wrote. Can you take a look at this one, please?" Just always say I'd never made it through college without her, because she did an awful lot of. No, this is a run-on sentence. No, this is the
Yep.
kind. This is a, so, and most times she would type my papers. And way back in those days, if you made a mistake on a paper, you started the whole page over. It was before there was any whiteout or any other paper, and no computers and that kind of stuff. So, yeah, she's a big part of me getting through college, and a big part of the sports I was in. And every once in a while, she would remind me that, hey, the kids want you now. They don't care about the game, about done coaching, you know? When you come home, they don't care about that. They want to see you and not have you mad about this or upset about that or something, you know? So,
Mm-hmm.
and, you know, I tried to say that to my kids, Corey and Eileen and Ryan, that, yeah, hey, the game doesn't matter to them now. It matters to you, but as you know. But yeah, she's been amazing, and I thought, you know, like I say, did a great job in the teaching world. You know, when she was there, she got her first job when she was 40 years old, because she stayed home with our kids, and I think that's one of the big reasons, you know, that our kids were very good students, you know, besides being an athlete. So,
Agreed.
very helpful, no question.
Yeah. So that first son you had, Corey, tell the audience a little bit about him.
Uh, well, let's see. He's the athlete he is because Pat ran him all over. You know, Coach Rose got me involved in playing softball. So, like, if there's a baseball game on a Saturday morning and I'm playing a softball tournament, she's taking them there, or she's taking them after school to the evening if I had a practice, or she was going with them to basketball, taking them to all the rides. She's, you know, out in the yard throwing wiffle balls to them.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, Corey, let me tell you this. If you hit the BP pitcher, you're all done hitting. So, right now when your mom's pitching, when I'm pitching, okay. When mom's pitching, no hitting the BP guy. So, yeah, she did a lot, you know, to give him the opportunity. You know, it became later, you know, as he grew older. But yeah, he's a very good competitor, a good athlete, and you know, I know he really enjoyed being able to play ball with you and your brothers and work with you, you know. And he's a pretty driven guy, you know, when he was in school and playing, and so it was fun to see them their senior year win the state championship, you know, and just take off and do that. How special! And you know, again, he was a guy that was a soccer, basketball, baseball guy, because you can't do four sports anymore, you know. So it's like, all right, you know. So
and he was also all county in all three, I believe, right?
yes, yep,
Okay.
yep.
And then he decided to also give college baseball a whirl correct?
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. I mean, basically, with him being able to go to Notre Dame, I didn't have anything to do with. There was a gentleman named Ed Natofsky
Mm-hmm.
that got a call. And you want the long story. Pat Murphy was a student teacher in Syracuse.
Pat Murphy was the coach.
Pat Murphy was the coach at the time at Notre Dame. Well, Pat Murphy did a student teaching with a guy that called Ed Natofsky, and Ed Natofsky called Murphy and gave him a recommendation about Corey. So Pat Murphy then recruited Corey. Me, nothing to do with it. So you try to tell athletes today, and Kevin and I try to work together on this. We play the game one way, the best way you know how to play it, and be involved at the best, that you can play every single day. Be the first one on the diamond, be the guy that hustles off the court, be the, that kind of person. And so that makes you stand out. Not because you had a home run. And, trying to every day instill that in some of our athletes. We've got some very good athletes in baseball the last few years. And Rich has had some excellent athletes in football, and there have been some super athletes in track. Our Hilton program has been, pretty good, pretty high level for, at least some high level people in it. So that part was there, but Corey was really driven to get on to the next level. And when you get an opportunity, you have to produce. It's like Pat Murphy, when he got there, would say about Corey, well, let's see. Can't hit, can't run, can't throw, but he plays every day. It's like, okay. But, it just shows you he was consistent, make the play when it had to be made, and et cetera. So, same kind of thing. He played third and second his freshman year. Sophomore year, he played second base. He comes back his senior year, thinking he's going to play second base again, and Coach Murphy hands him a set of catching gear. Says, you're a catcher now. It's like, I caught when I was a freshman in high school. Can I battle for my second base? No, you're a catcher now. So it's like, okay, when you get told something from a coach, you make a change, or there's a bench, or you get cut, So, so he caught for the first maybe quarter of the season, and third baseman didn't do the job, so they put him back at third, put the second string catcher in, and, became an everyday guy, which he already was, but yeah, just the change that happened.
And that competitive spirit, didn't that also lead him into coaching in college too?
Yes. Yeah. I mean, it's like when you get done with college, it's what do I do next? And, he finished college and was home for, I don't know, week and a half, 2 weeks, and he got married, to Sue Hunter, became Susan Me. And 2 days before his wedding, he got a call from the Los Angeles Dodgers to sign as a free agent. So, excuse me, that was a kind of a fun call. We were at Crescent Beach up on the roof painting at the time, as you know about painting, because we did that for about 25 summers. After I got done with landscaping, and I come down and he takes a call from the Los Angeles Dodgers, and I think it was on Thursday. It was on Wednesday. Maybe it was Wednesday. I forget. I think it was Wednesday, because Thursday night was his bachelor party. Friday night was rehearsal. Saturday was wedding. Sunday was his honeymoon. And it turned out they wanted him to report on his wedding day on Saturday to Yakima, Washington. He says, I'm getting married Saturday. I can't do that. Sunday? about Monday? So we had a honeymoon on Sunday, and then flew out Monday to go to Yakima, Washington, and played most of the summer there before I got released. And then it was, all right, what am I going to do now? And that's when the decision to go into coaching started.
And then you had Eileen. What was her route in life? Because she was also a competitor.
Yeah, she enjoyed playing soccer, to be on a team. Played basketball on a varsity as a sophomore, and then switched and played volleyball her junior, senior years. Excellent student. I mean, Corey graduated second in his class with Eric Jones, another great guy. And Eileen, another excellent student that played soccer in the fall, didn't play a lot, and then volleyball, basketball, and then was an excellent pitcher on a softball team and spent a year pitching at Notre Dame, was on the team as a freshman there, and, enjoyed it, but then the college experience, was something she wanted to see a little bit more of, and she wanted to do very well academically still. So that was the end of her athletic career. But yeah, she's graduated and got a job right out of college. She thought she was going to have a summer to relax, and she got a call like within the first week and said, "Yeah, we want you here in Detroit on Monday to start your job." So it was like, I didn't get a whole summer off to go enjoy myself and sleep in, and so and she worked there until she had twins, Nick and Tyler, and once she had them, then it was okay. This is a whole lot different having two at once.
Oh yeah,
Mom knows.
As your mom knows something about that,
you got it, Pat. You got that right. What did she like? Did she go back to work, and where's she now, and what's she working as?
Yeah, actually, she did not go back to work because they had Anna. That's their three.
Okay.
Victor's her husband, and Victor was able to accumulate enough funds in his work, so she didn't have to go back to work. She could be a stay-at-home mom, and with a two at the same age, like your mom, that was home and did a great job of raising you guys and your whole family. Eileen did the same, and she's done some working, volunteered at a few different places.
She's so good.
Meals on Wheels. Now she's a sub at school, etc. And so it's been busy and kept her going. No question about that. If I can back up for a second, Corey's wife Susan, of course, is a Hilton athlete, and they have their three, Grady, Riley, and McKenna, and all three of them were athletes. So I didn't know if you wanted to throw that in there now or not. But
oh, you betcha. Sure.
Lee lives near Ann Arbor, Michigan, and Corey right now is based out of Toledo, Ohio. So,
and then we moved down to the youngest, and Ryan. What was he like? Because I know he was a heck of an athlete, smart guy, and carried on the coaching gene of the Mees.
Yeah, he was a gym rat, even if he didn't want to be, because he was taking to practice a lot. But I think he enjoyed it. It's like when Corey used to go and watch the older guys play. He used to shoot 100 foul shots a day to, trying to give him something to do, and then see how well he could do each time. And so, it was really great for me to have, Ryan around to, when Corey and Eileen left, that Ryan was still here. And, again, he was an excellent student and also soccer, basketball, baseball player. So that was, really enjoyable to him. And like Corey probably enjoyed, I'm going to say, basketball the most out of the three sports, but he wanted to play at a high level, and he got that opportunity at Notre Dame, so he was there. And Ryan, the same way, had an opportunity to play basically any one of the three sports too, and he chose basketball, and he wanted to be a little bit different, carve his own path and etc. And through high school, he was just trying to be the best athlete and best student he could be, which I think was there. At the time, he really put in a lot of time and a lot of effort and a lot of work, and chose University of Rochester to go to, and we thought it was a great decision. And I don't know, he got to his senior year, and we're looking at him as being a starter, and he tore his ACL before the season started, and played the whole year without one. And it kind of helped as Coach Mary used to tell him, well, you've never been the fastest guy in the world, so it's not going to affect you. But yeah, when he finished, he was the fourth leading scorer with 3-point goals. But I think they made the NCAA tournament 4 times. They went to the Final Four twice his freshman and senior year. Senior year, they lost in a championship game. And it really was, I thought, an important cog in their team, because he was always a guy that knew what was going on and was telling guys to go here, go there. I believe they were 97-15 for the 4 years. So they were pretty competitive. There's levels, as you go up, and it was a great choice. And he sent me a text today from one of his teammates, asking us to think about his dad. And the guy lives in Corpus Christi, Texas. Says, hey, still thinking of you, because they've got a chat and they stay, pretty much informed like you do with some of your teammates.
Mm-hmm. And in terms of Ryan, where did he end up getting married and his kids?
Yes. Ryan, graduated from U of R and took a job with Guardian Insurance in Buffalo. And about 6 months in, he said, Dad, I'm not sure I like this. 9 months in, he says, Dad, I don't like this. I says, well, quit doing it. What do you want to do? I think I want to be a coach.
Right.
So I says, well, find a place where you can go back and get your master's, be an assistant coach, and find out if you like it. So I went to Elmira and decided he liked it. Went from there to Skidmore for a year. So he's got his undergraduate degree, graduate degree, took a job for $5,000 as an assistant coach. So then you referee as many intramural games as you can, find a job on campus, worked admissions, he did every basketball camp he could do in the summer. And then the next, after being in Skidmore for a year, then he went to U of R and was there for maybe 4 years, and he met his wife at University of Rochester, Hania. So they hit it off and got married. And what's the adage? They say don't do too many things at the same time. Well, in the same month, he took a new job at Davidson, moved from Rochester to Davidson, and got married. I said, you didn't do too much in the same month. So
Sure.
it was kind of cool, because we moved them twice in the same month, because they got married and we moved them together into a place on, where was that? It was off of Park Avenue. So we moved him into there, and he signed a year's lease. And then within that month, he got the job at Davidson. Now he's trying to get out of the lease, so it was kind of a little exhausting there. But get down to Davidson, and at Division I, it's a different level too. I mean,
Right.
you're going to put a lot of time in, but it's a little bit like U of R. You're recruiting nationally, and at Davidson, you call them one day, where are you? I'm in San Francisco. Where are you today? I'm in, let's see, where am I today? I got to remember here. I'm in Florida today. Which place am I at, though? You know, so he'd kind of chuckle because he'd be recruiting, but he'd be all over the place. So, and they have 2 kids. Trotter is 8, and Capucine is 5. So, you know, they've been married 6 years now. So, I'm sorry, he was at Davidson for 6 years, and then he moved, took the head job at Vassar College, and this is his 5th year there. So, yeah, they were 2 years.
I'm impressed.
I'm sorry, pardon? 2 years ago,
I'm just impressed.
Yeah.
Your turn. Your turn.
I was going to say 2 years ago at Vassar, it was the first time in history they won the conference tournament for the Liberty League to make the NCAA tournament. Last year they had a 500 record. It's the first time Vassar's ever had a winning record 2 years in a row, or made the conference tournament 2 years in a row. So, you know, he's accomplished several things there, which have never been done before. And so it's a credit, I think, to where he's been able to learn from each place he's been, from coaching here, coach for Kurtzy, you know, just and a great guy at Davidson, you know, being able to learn from them too, just like Corey was able to, you know. And I tell people like yourself, I said, both of them know way more than I know. You know, I taught them all I know, and now they've been with these excellent coaches, and they've learned things from them that I don't know. So, yeah, it's fun to get in a discussion. I interrupted you. What were you going to say?
No, I was just going to say that, you know, what I've always noticed about sons of coaches is, like, they play with the mind of a coach. And when I played with Corey, he also played with the mind of you. And when you just said that all the people that he's met and Ryan's met, it just increases that repertoire and all that knowledge. And it's just, and also sons of coaches can all make their free throws in basketball games.
Well, they spend plenty of time doing it.
Exactly. And I love it. Yeah, he used to say that, well, Ryan, he would get dragged along to practices and all that other stuff. There's another person that you kind of treated like another son, and that was Carlton Moore. Speak about him and how you helped him along in his growing up.
Carlton was from right outside Yankee Stadium, and got placed up here and was with a family in the Hilton district his sophomore year, and was going to go back to New York City. And Mr. Havert had asked us if we might. His mom didn't want him to come back to New York because she thought he'd fall back into, you know, a bad spot. You know, and there's a lot of gangs and things like that in that area. So that was something that, you know, and Carlton had a great time here, I thought. And Mr. Havert placed him with us. And Carlton wanted to stay here. He didn't want to go back to New York City. So that became a great point for him. And, you know, I think he really blossomed with a lot of help from Pat, because Pat took a lot of time working academics with him. And so did Ryan. Ryan would spend time with him, even though, you know, there's quite a different age differential there. And, you know, 4 years, but, you know, Ryan would sit down with him. And, you know, as you know, he's an excellent basketball player and really enjoyed that part, and became one of our better players in the history of Hilton School. So it turned out to be a win-win. And, you know, he's been out of school. He's worked at got a steady job now since basically he left high school. And Mike Havertz has told us several times, he says he's a success story that a lot of people don't have when you get somebody, in that situation. So he's very proud of him, just like we're so proud of him. And like today, he sent us a text message today about Thanksgiving or about Eileen's post or something like that. So we stay in touch. I mean, last Christmas he came here for Christmas dinner, and it's fun to still be in contact with him. And I'm trying to think of how old is he now?
He's 50.
I mean,
No, 40.
40 something now already. And it's like, but yeah, came a long ways from where he was, no question about that part, and really enjoyed having him. And it really changed our family a lot, to add someone at that point in our lives.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, if I did the counting correctly, I think you have 8 grandchildren. Is that true?
Yes.
Okay. Now, on one of your visits, you came over to visit me, and you talked a little bit about what you give the grandkids for their graduation presents. Could you talk to our viewers a little bit about that? Because I think it's pretty cool and pretty unique.
Yes. It was not our idea. We had a cousin that when they're each of her grandchildren graduated from high school, she'd take them on a trip where they'd like to go. And as you know, with coaching basketball and baseball, we didn't basically get any trips until, we started taking a trip to Jamestown in baseball, or something like that. I was here for practice or for games or whatever. We'd drive, like Thanksgiving, we'd drive down Wednesday night, have Thanksgiving Thursday day and be back here for practice on Friday. Or at Christmas time, we had the Christmas tournament and we're practicing. Spring break, you had, sectionals usually. And then also, for spring break you were. So this was one of the things where we didn't get to travel. I mean, we took the baseball team on trips, so that was our, taking 30 people and going. But we said we would take the grandkids any place you'd like to go in the world for like 10 days. And so each one of the grandkids has kind of picked a place that they had in mind and said they'd like to go. So we've gotten a lot of traveling in, which Pat and I have, have we enjoyed. The other thing is the grandkid is stuck with you for a week. So if they're in the same room with us, they have to listen to us snore. So that's a...
Can you just mention maybe 2 or 3 places that you visited with them?
Yeah, Riley was the oldest one. We went to, let's see. We went to London, Paris, and we did a stop at Normandy. And that's very, very humbling, going to Normandy and stopping to see all the graves that are there and those kind of things. So special. I think McKenna was next. These are Corey's family. We went to Ireland and we did the trip around Ireland. So you saw basically all the cities there. Nick and Tyler are Eileen's 2 twins. They decided they wanted to go to New Zealand. So Pat and I went a little over a week early. We went to South Island. Now when Nick and Tyler came, we went to the North Island, and what an amazing place. You get those places you just love to go back to. So that was really, really fun. So, and then Anna was next. She wanted to go to Greece and a little Mediterranean cruise and see the islands there. And again, places that I remember my mom showing me in National Geographic when I was a kid.
Yep.
I'm saying, I wonder if I ever get to any of those places, And I'm saying, the Leaning Tower of Pizza. Actually, Leaning Pizza. Leaning, no? Put your hand up there. So it was really cool to see all those things. And then Grady was the last one. He wanted to see the Alps. So we went to Switzerland, Austria, and Germany. We took a tour that went through there. And what an amazing place that was, as each place we went. And so Pat and I have been so lucky that, they've chosen places that are just amazing in the world. And we're able to do it. And it's like, at this point, that's what we want to spend our money on. And it's like, hey, let's go do that. Who cares about the rest, And, seeing the different things that you saw and the different places you went. It's like, wow, just amazing. So, yeah, pretty special.
Yeah, and I think it's so nice because from what I've heard, people in retirement want to travel, and you get to travel with your grandkids, and just what a special way to cement that future legacy with your grandkids. So I'm glad you had your time with that.
Yeah.
I reached out to another good friend of yours, and there's a couple items. He had many to tell me. He remembers in the second year of Ory and I coaching basketball at Fairport, we were getting whipped real bad in the first quarter. Ory took all his timeouts in the first 6 minutes of the first quarter. Your brother David was a sophomore on that team. We joke about that and laugh often. He also went on to write, I can't verify the whole story, but he and Pat and others, me included once, made the trip to Notre Dame just about every weekend during the school year. In the winter, leaving after the basketball games on a Friday night, 10 to 11 o'clock at night, drive straight through, arrive very early in the morning, and go full steam all day. Pack back up early evening on Sunday, drive straight back to Hilton, arrive home early Monday morning, grab an hour of sleep, that's you, and be at school by 7 a.m. Some days not even grabbing an hour of sleep, but rather heading to the high school gym for early morning shoot-around or hitting in the cage. That's from Mike Wheelahan.
Yeah.
Yes. He's got a couple more, but now let's move on a little bit to your coaching career. I think you mentioned that you coached swimming at the school district. What was that like?
Yeah, the first year was the only job that was open, and I kind of got hired with the fact that I said I would coach swimming after being a diver. So I worked with a gentleman named Pat Sikanoffy for a year, and then he left the district. And so the next year, my second year, I'm the varsity swimming coach. And it was the first year of Hilton being a varsity team. 2 years before, they were JV team. So, yeah, it was a little harrowing experience for me because I didn't have a lot of, swimming experience. And so, okay, you start going to clinics, etc. And we were not very good. I mean, I think we were like 2-15. And by the last year I started, I think last year I was, before I started coaching basketball, I think we were 8-8. And Pittsburgh would have to swim all their swimmers in their main events to beat us, that kind of thing. And Arthurman, Rusty Bird, the Blodgetts, those were guys that were coming that were 8th grade, 9th grade, and I think they ended up being like ranked 20th in the state at the time. And I mean, the Ensner brothers that have been here and coach have done an unbelievable job here in the last few years. They've broken all those records that we used to hold. But people forget that, back then we had a 5-lane pool, as you know, when you went to swim. And, each team had 2 swimmers, when you were here, when you went on the road, everybody else would have a 6-lane pool. So you'd have 3 swimmers. But, I coached, swimming for, 7-8 years, and then switched over to basketball and started there. And same thing, went back to clinics. We used to go to Pittsburgh to go to the clinic. I went to Toronto. I have a signature from Bobby Knight on one of his posters, because he was one of the guys that, I went to listen to talk. And so, yeah, with that. And then, like I said, I had coached baseball from my second year on, and enjoyed. I just enjoyed, working with, people like yourself and other great student athletes in both sports over the years. And, some years a little more challenging than others. You go with it. So, yeah, basketball, baseball, and swimming was the beginning.
And I also reached out to another one of your former coaches. Here's my info on Coach Me and what he meant to me in Hilton Athletics. As I reflect on my 24 years of teaching and coaching, I think of how much of a positive impact Ory Mee had on student athletes and me personally as a coach and PE teacher. I wouldn't be here where I am today without Ory Mee. He was so pivotal in teaching discipline, organization, hard work, fundamentals, etc. Ory defined the word productivity and was such a hard worker himself. This was contagious in his athletes that he coached. He was a machine, literally. Ory was so good at so many different aspects of teaching and coaching, so knowledgeable. He organized the best practices planned. I can attest to that. No matter what the sport was, always active, always hands-on, best drills that focused on team weaknesses and individualized weaknesses. There was never any kid standing around doing nothing, always working hard. Ory had that implemented in his athlete's mentality. It was so impressive to observe. I tried to implement the same mentality into my student athletes, and it wasn't easy. He was such an important mentor in my life, and I have learned so much from him. Memorable moment in 2002 was on a late Thursday night in December, approximately 10:30, 11 o'clock at night, after baseball open gym. Ory and I were putting up the batting cage at the high school. Of course, he is up on the lift, somehow, in the rafters of the ceiling, putting up the cage while I was tossing individual tools up to him when needed. We were up there until after midnight trying to put up this cage. He always taught me, just do it yourself. Otherwise, it won't get done. Ain't that the truth? He was so good at fixing things and do-it-yourself projects and has taught me a ton on that stuff. Ory coached 2 varsity sports, and that's unheard of nowadays. Coaches can't even do 1 varsity sport nowadays before burnout or other issues. And Ory did it the right way and did an amazing job, coaching both basketball and baseball. He was so good at teaching fundamentals, effective drills, and discipline of the sport. Great productive practices where everyone was moving, working hard, etc. He taught me what an effective practice should look like. Ory is still giving back currently to Hilton Athletics, helping with baseball camps, practices, etc. Thank you, Ory Mee, for being a great mentor for me and teaching so many positive aspects of teaching and coaching. The Hilton community thanks and appreciates all that you do. Jeff Murphy.
Thank you,
And I know
Jeff.
it's hard just to sit there. But I think you need to hear these things. But that's the type of effect that you have on people and have. I got a few more, but now let's go. You touched upon the sports that you coached. What about some of the triumphs you've had in your coaching days? Like I remember that sectional title in baseball. It was outstanding.
Yeah, yes, it's very special. And, 1 year when I was coaching a varsity sport, we finished with a win. That wasn't the year we won the sectionals. We had a game after the sectionals 1 year. We played in West Henrietta tournament, and we won the tournament, so we won our last game. Otherwise, every year you coach, if you're at the varsity level, you're going to end with a loss. I mean, we won the sectionals, we won the regionals, we were in a state final 4, and you lose. Unless you're the state champs, you finish with a loss, which, like you said, that win was amazing, to see Volkmar. You kind of still see the ball going over the fence, and people said we had no business playing McQuaid. But we went through that tournament, and, okay, we beat Webster, then we beat Fairport's a number 2 seed, and we beat Olympia, and then we beat McQuaid, who was a number 1 seed, and then we beat Orchard Park, who was the number 1 seed in the Buffalo area, and so, we had a run right there of 5 wins in a row where we played amazing baseball. Taking the 7th inning win, bottom of the 7th, and let's see, McQuaid's the number 1 seed. Why are we the home team? Because we flipped the coin. Okay, it was the home team, and it's like we go on to play Orchard Park. We're bottom of the 7th. We're at 10-8. They've got 2 guys on. Boom. Strikeout. Game's over. But I don't see Mike Volkmar, who's our catcher, jumping up and down. And it's like, what's wrong? The umpire on the bases had called a balk and moved the runners from first and second to second and third. And it's like, no pitch. Okay, we got to get it out. Well, the next guy hits a screamer to center field. It doesn't Chris Nichols come in and make a diving catch? Otherwise, ball goes by. Kid's probably got an inside the park home run. But, we win 10-8, so that was kind of, so that was very special to see the least. But, there's been a lot of hard losses. Your senior year, we lost to a team that we beat during a year. And that's happened several different years, as you can attest to. You've seen the last couple of years that I've been helping Kevin. We had great seasons and then lost our first game. And that's happened a lot. And that's like making sure you're there for your players, because they've invested so much time and energy and, believing to get it done. And, from working with, your family and the people in your family that accomplish so many things, with Jay, Pat, and Jill, and watching them, succeed and win some big things. But, those are big wins. A lot of times, big wins come in a game like you saw somebody make 3 foul shots at the end of the game, and 3 years earlier he missed and we lost. And to me, that's one of your biggest wins. And there was a team that beat us really bad our junior year. I don't think I've ever had or anybody's had a loss 124 to 56 in basketball. But the next year, we beat them 3 times. We beat them in overtime, we beat them in our house, and we beat them by 20 in the sectionals. And Kevin Wheelahan was part of that. I think he was the one that, before we walked out when we played him, wrote the score from the year before on the chalkboard. And to me, that was huge to see our players come back and say, okay, we're gonna go after this and do it. So, there's so many of those times. It's like Coach Lapani. How many years was it between sectional titles? It's not there every year. They've had tremendous teams, that have gotten beat by a team that they've beaten during the season. And, just like this year, 2 weeks before, they beat UProp, play a sectional game, beat Fairport, and then lose to the UProp. It's like, yeah, burn, how'd that happen? We just got done beating them. So, as you know, it's there, and that's why every day you give the best you can give, and when you get done, you left it all in the field. And so that's, again, one of the things that's there that happens.
And I know this is a little awkward as I read what people write about you, but I have to do it anyways. So, a couple more notes here. Ory headed a team of parent volunteers to build the 2 dugouts at the varsity baseball site in the mid-90s. He arranged for the block to be donated. Don't really think it ended up that way. And went to work with borrowed equipment to construct proper footers and poured concrete pads. Arranged for mason to put up block walls and had a player's father build the roofs. Completed the project in less than a month. No cost to the district. At his own cost, he provided materials and labor to construct the press box concession stand at the varsity baseball field. This was a project where he followed the old saying, "It's easier to ask for forgiveness than permission." Perhaps the best press box on the baseball field in Monroe County. He is very proud of the building. Back when my boys were in grade school, they served as bat boys for the varsity team. It may have been his first couple years at the varsity baseball job. He purchased, probably out of his own pocket, many gallons of gray outdoor paint so that the players and other volunteers could paint the backstop, fencing, and poles so that it looked more presentable. It was not a very clean project, but we had fun. He arranged for the pickup of scrap chain link fencing from Eastman Kodak throwaway site, with Kodak's blessing, that would reach from foul pole to foul pole as the outfield fence. Larry Spear and I used Larry's equipment to auger the holes for the fence post, and up went the fence. Was at the field for many years. He installed the first indoor batting cage in the high school gym, mostly overnight, in one weekend at his own cost and time. That cage has since been replaced with a new model. In my time around him, we resodded the infield twice at no cost to the district with the help of the players, volunteers, and I would guess with Larry Spear's equipment. He and other high school coaches established the Sports Hall of Fame. It has grown into a large following. I was grateful he included me in its origination, and I enjoyed very much my time working with all my former mentors. Ory and his family were heavily involved in the funding of many aspects of the original outdoor batting cage at Parmatown Park. The cage has since been moved to a different location at the park where Ory provided a turfed floor, blue in color, for all to use at their leisure. John Schwind may be able to rate the story better than I. Ory and Larry Spear and others picked multiple rolls of used artificial turf with their trucks and trailers to transport back to Brockport College so that the rolls could be used in the indoor baseball facility at the college. He was an assistant coach at the college for a number of years after his retirement from Hilton High School. He helped organize and run a high school baseball showcase for players in Western New York wishing to play at the next level to be seen by college coaches at all levels. I have enjoyed this most of all with him, as it introduced me to a large contingent of college baseball coaches that I still have contact with today. Coming full circle, Ory retired from his assistant baseball job at Brockport College and is now assisting voluntarily with my son Kevin back on the field he made his home, as well as the camps he runs in the summer and fall. Mike Wheelahan.
Yeah, it's a little difficult, but understand all the things that are done have involved a lot of people, as you know. Larry Spear has been a huge part of it. He and I took a day off of work. He brought his backhoe over and we dug the footers for the dugout. The Hilton dugout is 50 feet long. So we built Friday, we built it. We had to have if I go back, I got from Ed Natotsky, I had his dugouts put up and gave that to Gary Bagley and it wasn't good enough. I had to have a stamped architectural drawing stamped to be able to do it. So I had to get that. Jordan Cristiano's dad helped get that. So then we were able to build it. So we went down, took the time off on a Friday, dug it, had the concrete brought in Saturday morning, leveled it all off. We went down to Norton Street and played a game at the championship game of the Rush Henrietta tournament, won. Then we came back in the afternoon and we finished troweling it all off to get it ready. And so we said, well, we're going to do this. So then on Sunday, that was Saturday, Sunday morning, Larry and I came down, dug out, footer for the first base dugout. Monday they came in with a concrete truck, and poured the foundation for that one. And then we were able to, Dick Starwall was main guy for doing it. Mike Wheelahan helped organize all the people, set up to be there to work, to get the things done. So, yeah, there's a book that shows all that I have, with all the people that helped, because all the things that were done basically would never have gotten done without Larry and Mike. And I've enjoyed so many different adventures and doing things with Mike. And Mike Wheelhand was the one that helped get us the sod and the dirt for the infield and to redo it. And, a lot of people involved with that. I know that one year I think I hauled like 56 loads of a small dump truck from the school out to right field and extended it, because when you played, you used to run down the hill, center field, come over, throw it to him, throw it to the first baseman, throw it to home. And I think it was your senior year, we played McQuaid, and we got there running at home plate. Or no, Mike Burke was safe at home plate. I forget whichever way it went. But
he couldn't run. He wasn't safe.
But anyway, all the people that put it in. I mean, the year we got two backhoes, and one started from the school, and one started from down there. And we put the water line in, the 3-inch water line, because there was no water. Gary Schwanke was a guy that did so much for so many years, as you know, and he helped us put the outfield fence in. Jim Voorhees was the guy that got us the outfield fence, so we put it in. And without them, it wouldn't be there. And we had to have a 10-foot warning track put in to be able to put the outfield fence up. And the village bought a semi-load of stone to put in for us so we could have the track. Just different things. And again, Mike Wheelhand helped so much with putting up the net at the high school, the drop-down net that we had, because in your years we had to put it up and down ourselves. So it was like, okay, every day for practice, couldn't leave it up. And every once in a while it was good to beg for forgiveness rather than get approval. And so we had things each day, and it was like getting a scoreboard put in. RGE helped us with that. They dug the holes. We got the I-beams from Merton Williams, the old pool. And we put 26 or 25 bags of Sacrete in each hole to, put the holes on, and we got them to put electric on it and all that good stuff. So, there was a lot of things done, but a lot of people involved. And Chuck Mance was a guy that did most of the building with, the press box. But Larry Spear's brother brought his equipment over, his loader over, etc., and helped us get the, again, being able to get all the concrete in the ground and have a footer, etc. He brought his stuff over to do it. And a former baseball player, and now right this minute his name escapes me, that helped put up the block for it, and the the players helped. Ask Tony Strub someday about carrying block. But yeah, basically, you know, we did quite a bit there. So, and I think, you know, one of the nicer fields now, we look at some of the fields like Schroeder or Fairport that have turf and everything in them, and I still think natural grass is kind of cool to play on, though. But, you know, and I think, you know, when you guys were playing, I got a couple pictures out here the other day, and Corey said the same thing. Dad, how come there was only 2 wooden benches here when we played? One there and one over there.
I mean, yeah, really. But there had to be one person at the pinnacle of it, and that was you. And I'm just about done here. You mentioned Larry Spear, and I did reach out to him. And this is what Larry had to say, and then we'll probably finish up here. He wrote that Ory, growing up on a dairy farm, is where Ory learned that hard work is fun. Growing up on a farm is where Ory learned to appreciate the outdoors. This is where he first enjoyed his love for fishing and hunting. Family is very important. Ory expects the best from himself and the people he associates with. Of course, he has enjoyed playing and coaching many sports, which he has excelled at from his childhood. Weather the storm is the phrase he uses to coach his teams. When the game is not going well, he also applied it to life situations. Be gracious and respectful when the other team is better. To use the gambling term, all in is a great way to describe Ory. All in as a husband, father, brother, coach, and friend. Larry Spear. Ory, I got to end with saying every time I've seen you in the last few years, you've said a phrase to me, and can you just share that with our listeners, please?
Every day is a great day. Let's get up and go, man. So.
Exactly. And, you know, it's like one of those things that you love to hear it, you live it, and because it's my podcast, I get to finish, but it's been great having you here. And in my 54 years, you know, besides my dad, there's only been one other man who's had an effect on my life, and that's been you. And I pattern my coaching after you, my hard work ethic after you, my dedication and desire. I still recall that senior banquet when you got up and gave me the David Johns Award for hustle, dedication, and desire. I think it wouldn't have meant as much if it didn't come from you. And, you know, during our darkest hours, we remember things. And it was at my father's calling hours, and Pat came up to me. And, you know, we had our differences here and there, you know, throughout our lives, and they're stupid on my part. And I just looked at Pat and I said, you know what? My dad was proud of what Ory did for his sons. And I meant it back then, and I've meant it every day since then. And I'm grateful for having this time to talk with you, because you are a true inspiration to so many.
Well, thank you, Mike. But
Ory?
the same thing. You've been an inspiration to myself, and I really have enjoyed all the things that you have done and what you've put back into our community to make it what it is. And I think that's one of the biggest things about a community is most people put in, and there's very few that just take out. And I want to make sure I say thank you to you and your family for all the things you've done for our community, too.
Hey, you're very welcome, and I look forward to seeing you at a baseball field real soon, basketball court, but definitely seeing you real soon.
Sounds
This has been
great.
Mike Heiss with Coach Me on the Big H Podcast. Catch us next time. Okay, we are off air.
Okay.
And it's just uploading. I have to make sure. Ory, that was fabulous. You were great.
I don't know about that, but thank you for having me. And